For the last 24 hours, most people in the United States have been kind of focused on the ongoing catfight between Steve Bannon, the former political strategist for Donald Trump turned, I guess, editor of Breitbart, and Donald Trump himself, President of the United States. Bannon came forward in a new book by Michael Wolff, making all kinds of accusations about Donald Trump and his, Trump Jr., I should say, and his treasonous behavior, and basically accusing Jared Kushner and other Trump companies of laundering money. So Donald Trump, needless to say, is pretty angry. And in fact, he's so angry that he's now had his lawyer send Steve Bannon a cease and desist letter saying that Bannon coming forward and saying all these things to Michael Wolff and then repeating them on Breitbart yesterday violates the non-disclosure agreement that Steve Bannon was forced to sign before he was able to join the Trump administration. Basically, Trump's lawyer is telling Steve Bannon that if you do not stop talking, if you do not stop revealing secrets from the Trump administration, we're going to sue you as per the agreement that you signed before joining the Trump administration. There are several issues with this right now. First and foremost, signing a non-disclosure agreement to join a presidential administration is unusual, to say the least. That actually is not something that, as far as we know, has ever happened with any other administration in the United States ever. That's typically what you do when you work for a massive corporation like the Trump organization, I guess. So you don't reveal their secrets or whatever after you leave, and there's usually some kind of financial compensation that goes back to the employee or former employee in exchange for their secrecy. Now, again, we don't ever really see this in politics at all, so it's awfully creepy right off the bat that Donald Trump made people sign these non-disclosure agreements. It also kind of indicates that he was pretty certain that people within his administration, once they left, would want to tell all of the dirty little secrets that went on behind the scenes that the American public doesn't know about, but that we probably should know about. And that's the case right now with Steve Bannon. Trump has also fired back at Bannon, saying that he lost his mind once he was let go from the administration, and that he's only in it for himself. And while I completely agree with Donald Trump on those points, it's kind of hard at this point to sort out who is actually lying in this situation. Michael Wolff, the guy who wrote the book, Steve Bannon himself, and Donald Trump, all three of them are pretty much known for being really dishonest people. But in this particular instance, and according to some more revelations that have come out about Wolff and Bannon in the last 24 hours, Bannon actually recorded most of the conversations that he's talking about having when he did his interview with Michael Wolff. So if those tapes come out, then we would be able to confirm what Steve Bannon was telling Michael Wolff. However, if we're unable to confirm it, we're basically left with a he said situation where we don't know exactly who's telling the truth. But one thing we do know for certain is that this little political catfight going on between Donald Trump and Steve Bannon is bad for this country. Why? Because it makes us look like children. It makes this administration look even more childish than they've looked in the past. This is not the kind of image that we need to be projecting not just to people in the United States, but to people all over the planet, especially when we have a president who's also engaged in a battle of wits with Kim Jong-un over in North Korea. Donald Trump is a petulant, whiny child, and the entire planet knows it. And this little scene here with him fighting with Steve Bannon, threatening to sue him for leaking all their dirty secrets, just proves even further that Donald Trump is really not just not mature enough to be the president of the United States, but he just doesn't even have the mental capacity to do more than one thing. Right now, he is solely focused on discrediting Steve Bannon, a guy who really had no credit to begin with, than he is about worrying about the future of this country or trying to get anything legislatively accomplished, even though, to be honest, that would probably be bad for the American public. But again, at the end of the day, Donald Trump has to grow up. And that's a really sad thing to have to say about a man who's already in his 70s. Thanks for watching, and if you like what you see here on Ring of Fire, we encourage you to subscribe to our channel. You can see the little subscribe button down there, but if you're watching it on another device where you can't see it, go to youtube.com/TheRingOfFire, hit subscribe, be notified every time we get a new video.